Welcome to my writing haven, where I talk about all things writing. Today I'm going to talk about the book I just finished, The Divine Flesh by Drew Huff. This is the book I read during July. I am not one of those superhuman people who can read 20 to 30 books a month. I'm so jealous of those people. I have no idea how that's humanly possible. I can wrap my head around someone reading 5 books a month. 20? I mean there are people on YouTube who are like, these are the books I've read this month, and there's like a tower of books in their hand. And this is like a monthly thing they do. I am so jealous. That is not me. I am going to read 2 books a month, and that's rare. I am a 1 book a month girl. So the book I choose to read, you better believe I have researched that book and I have read sample pages of it before I buy it, and I select it very carefully because I know that this is the next entire month of my life. I'm going to be in this book. Settle in, get a chai or a coffee. I have my chai. It's not going to be a super long video. Mostly I just want to talk about how great this book is. I am someone who I DNF the out of books, okay? I'm a DNFer. Something I just want to say real quickly about the choice of books you will see me talking about on my channel. They are not going to be trendy books. I already know this about myself. Anytime I try to read a book that's super popular on BookTube and is super trendy and has sold tons of copies, I try to read those books and they just fall flat for me. It's the same way I am with music and with anything else in my life. If something is really popular, I tend not to like it that much. Well, and I say this and I got a bunch of classic books behind my head, but these are literally the only classic books I like. So pretty much every single book every other booktuber is talking about, you're not going to hear that from me. Okay? It's just, and I understand why every booktuber talks about the same books. I get it. They want subscribers. I'm not going to read books just to get subscribers. I read The Divine Flesh in the month of July, and I recommend this book to anyone who, one, likes cosmic horror, and 2, doesn't mind body horror, likes body horror, and enjoys a theme not being shoved down your throat. I feel like there's a few ongoing themes of this book, looking at religion, toxicity of growing up in rural areas that are more conservative, more religious. There are also themes about body autonomy and themes around women specifically and their control over their bodies. The synopsis reads, Jennifer Plummer and the Divine Flesh have exactly 3 things in common. 1, they are trapped inside Jennifer's body. 2, they despise each other. And 3, they're in love with Daryl Plummer. They're in love with Daryl Plummer, Jennifer's ex-husband. But when Jennifer takes an experimental wonder drug to free herself from the Divine Flesh's control, it only makes things worse. Expelled from Jennifer's body, the Divine Flesh can now love, in quotes, everyone in existence to death, which in this case means being assimilated forever into the beast. With time running out, it's somehow up to Jennifer and Daryl to save the universe from complete and total destruction. Can a dysfunctional drug mule and an electrician from rural Idaho stop the cosmic abomination before it's too late? Jennifer thinks maybe. So there's this POV, a godly POV, and she doesn't shy away from that. She actually gets into the head of the godly POV a lot, and it's done really well. I just love the ambiguity of it, how this God perceives what they're doing as love, and the horrific things this God is doing to show that love. But it's done in a subtle way of like leaving it ambiguous between what is godly, what is evil. I enjoyed how down and out all of the characters were in this book. We take the POV of drug addicts, we take the POV of flesh-bending gods, we take the POV of other species that this author has created that I've never heard of, which is something I'm also doing in my novel. I created an entirely new species that I've never seen in shows or read in books. Hopefully they don't exist. I don't know. I think that I made them up, and I think that she made these people up too, called mirror people. I've never encountered anything like it. I don't really know if I want to call this a negative so much as that it just surprised me in a way that I didn't enjoy. Now, I could see a lot of other people liking the ending. It felt like the author didn't want people to close her book and feel bad. I feel like she could have done the same ending, but in a different way. I take book reviews pretty seriously. This is someone's artwork. I know how hard it is to write a book. I want to make sure that what I am saying about someone's art is coming through in exactly the way I want to say it. I am not a talker. I am a writer. So yes, it's one of the reasons I hesitated even starting this channel to begin with, because I am not great at speaking. That's fine. I tend to edit out a lot of stuff because I do quite often get off topic. I do quite often ramble, and I find myself not being clear on the points I'm trying to make. So I don't care if this is like illegal to do on YouTube or not. I am going to read what I have written about this book because it's important to me that it comes out correct. And because I'm a writer, this is everything that's correct about what I want to say. Okay? So this book is saying something about religion and the blindness and apathy it creates, about the toxicity of rural areas and the ways in which this can go hand in hand with religion and conservative ideas that spread and erode lives and societal progress. There's this concept of a God wanting to love its people to death. The distortion of God making beings in their image and the abomination of that from an outside perspective. This God actually bending and morphing bits of flesh into its image, literally, right before people's eyes. And once God is done making these abominations, what they're called in the book, abominations, all they care about is gaining other followers. Sound familiar? They are robbed of their own thoughts in a way, of their own goals for that of making this God happy. I enjoyed all the variations of love it explores. I enjoyed that it took the POV of the God. But one of my complaints, and this is a complaint I have with a lot of books, so it's not that this author was a bad writer. She's a very skilled one. But that I don't enjoy a ton of different POVs. I typically like to stay in the heads of one or two characters. 3 at the absolute most. This book skipped around too many heads for me that I found myself wanting to hurry through the other POVs to get back to the main character, Jennifer, or to the God's POV. Those were my two preferred POVs to read from in this book, and they are the two main characters. Something else I loved about this book was just the line-by-line sentence structure, the tempo of it, its simplicity and lack of grammar in a good way. What I mean by that is the author wasn't bogging down their sentences by making them what would be considered a complete sentence. It makes reading flow easier and faster that way. I'm really drawn in by sentence structure and the tempo of the writing. I'm really drawn in when it fits the tempo that I like reading. And the style of writing in The Divine Flesh by Drew Huff, that's the first thing that grabbed me. It's just how it reads. It just flows. I can just flow with it at a really nice pace. In my own book, I have rewritten my first page a million times because the first page is so detrimental to whether people keep reading, whether an agent keeps reading, whether or not you even get your book published. I am kind of obsessed with picking up books anywhere and just reading, like, how did this author start their book? What's the first sentence? What are the first two paragraphs? And I just want to read for you the first two paragraphs of The Divine Flesh. And it starts with dialogue from the God's POV. All I wanted were those bodies, Jennifer baby, the Divine Flesh said. Just those silly little cadavers, or even just one cadaver. Why do you keep hurting me? I woke up in a ditch, which wasn't so bad. The Divine Flesh didn't stop talking. She never stopped talking. So we get a little clip into what the first half of this book is like, with the Jennifer character who's saying, I just woke up in a ditch, and which wasn't so bad because her life's really shitty, and commenting on the fact that the Divine Flesh never stops talking in her head, so that we have this Jennifer character and then we have the God inside of her talking all the time. I don't know what to call that. God stuck in the bodies of humans, or God-like beings, even if they're not God, like just other types of life being, sharing a body. Both of these beings having such different perspectives on the world and pretty much everything. That is something that I'm exploring in my book as well. My protagonist has a dual perspective going on. Not so much like the Divine Flesh that the other perspective is a God, but it's kind of similar. So whenever these dual perspectives are going on, that tends to really grab me. I'm interested in that. I don't quite know what to call it, because I don't know that I would call it possession. It's just a dual perspective, and it's usually one of the perspectives is usually zoomed out from what a human can perceive. And that's usually how it goes. More and more I'm thinking the genre of my book is cosmic horror. And so I'm going to be reading a lot more cosmic horror. It's just hard to find a lot of it. I feel like it's not a popular genre right now. And because it's not popular, I can't seem to find a lot of books. That wraps up what I want to say about The Divine Flesh by Drew Huff. I recommend it highly. It has depth to it, and I really enjoyed it.